All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to Pub Talk. CJ's not here this week. He's been sick, and his mother told him to get the hell out of the house. And so I'm going to roll with the show. I'm the coach. We got Coach Breeden back and one and only Cliff. He's back in the studio. And today's Pub Talk is brought to you by Route 11 Potato Chips, one of the finest potato chips made in the Shenandoah Valley. If you're not trying Route 11 potato chips, you don't know what you're missing. You can find them in just about every country store up and down the 81 corridor. Um, they're just everywhere. Giant Food Line. If you have a Food Line in your area, they're in just about every gas station you could possibly imagine. With the exception of Sheets. Sheets is a national kind of thing where they're only going to get the Frito, the enemy. But if you haven't tried Route 11 chips, you don't know what you're missing. From lightly salted to barbecue to dill pickle, they've got it all. Sour cream and chives. They've got
You can get a little spicy.
yeah, they've got salt and pepper, the new salt and pepper. Montezuma's Revenge. Those things are badass. Hot chips as can get. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Today's Pub Talk is going to be talking about Major League Baseball. We're back. We're going to talk about NFL free agency. We're going to dip into a little March Madness. Well, how can you not at this time of the year? And then we're going to get back to this whole idea of three beers again. We're going to do three today, and hopefully we'll have a good show for you. So don't keep us waiting. Get online and talk to us on the show. Tell us what you think. So, Breed, good to have you back. Cliffy, good to have you back, man.
Great to be here.
Glad yeah, man. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. Major League Baseball. Finally, if you remember the last show, we were mired in the deadlock, in this lockout. And I kept bitching at these guys. We're talking about a $10 billion industry, and you got to sort it out. And so, what we're looking at is restructuring the beginning of the season. What are we looking at? About 2 weeks of workaround.
April 7th, I think, is
the first series of the season has been. I guess it's going to be reworked to create a new start to the season. They'll figure those in. They are going to let these guys train the way they're supposed to. If you cut spring training short on these guys, you're just going to mire them, and baseball will not be good.
And you're going to have injury-ridden players and people getting hurt. Just not a good look.
Baseball is about arms and bodies.
It's a war of attrition.
Yeah, and it's a long season, and if you don't let these guys train properly, let these pitchers get their pitches in. Moving into the season, I think that was a pretty smart thing on their idea. One of the things was expanded playoffs. They had talked about 14 teams in the postseason, and then the players came back and agreed to 12. What do you think about 12 into the playoffs?
It's just going to extend us further into October. You're going to be in November playing the World Series.
Yeah. When you talk about free agency and you look at Carlos Correa, he brings a hell of a stick to Minnesota, and Minnesota has been one of those teams that's on the fringe, and now they got a marquee player. And you extend them into late October, and you got to go to Minneapolis to go play those jokers. You're going to be freezing your ass.
At least they're in a dome.
Yeah, but still, just to get there, it's got to be miserable just getting there.
It's the shock of walking off of a plane in sub-zero temperatures to go play baseball.
One of the things that I really liked when I looked at how they broke down the mess that was created is this whole idea of no more tiebreaker games. Teams with identical records at the end of the season, hey, you're going to play to get in. And I like that. I just think that that's the way to go. I mean, how fucking hard is it to pick one team and let the other team go, especially with identical records? So I think that's a big one.
Especially going into the playoffs, it's what have you done for me lately,
right,
in baseball,
right,
and the team that's hot deserves to be in,
right. So if you had a team that started real strong and then started to fade in August and September, and they end up with the same record as somebody who's just lights out playing on fire, how can you look at the other team and go, "Look at you, Guardians"? It feels our Cliff's working the Guardian shop there. Sponsor patches and helmet decals. They're going to be able to they're going to reach sponsorship deals for patches on their jersey sleeves and decals on their helmets. What do you think of that?
It's only a matter of time.
You think?
It was only a matter of time. Well, I mean, initially it was in the ballparks. You had all the signage out along the outfield walls. You look at minor league teams, that's their outfield
They're
walls.
plastered out there.
So now it's infiltrating. They're seeing that that's how they can make their revenue in.
Right. Yeah. So you got to, for a team like, let's just put a bottom dweller out there, put out Baltimore, who's
Sorry, Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence. I love Clarence, but the O's are just a struggling organization. They have to survive on this. They have to survive on that advertising, and whether you're trying to make money on fans coming to the game or what, I don't know. You're going to have to expand advertising. I just don't know about having it on the helmet. It's got to be somewhere on the back, right?
It would have to be to eliminate distraction.
Or on the side.
If it doesn't, it's going to start looking like a bunch of NASCARs out there running.
Can you imagine their uniforms? Well, the patches here, sponsorship. I got the left arm sleeve. Oh yeah, well I got the left thigh. And do you see this giant freaking decal down this side of their leg? Are you fucking kidding me?
It's a big day for Gatorade. About 11 ships today.
That's good. One of the things that I really, really struggled with was this whole minimum salary thing. I come from a world as a public school teacher where minimum salary, to start out, if you're a veteran player or a veteran teacher, you should be paid. But to start some of these young guys out, look at the minimum salary now. It's a 22.7% increase in the minimum salary, the biggest in any single year in the history of the game. The minimum salary for 2022 is $700,000. $700,000.
Wow, that's a decade of teaching for me.
Oh my God, I can't imagine $700,000 to play a game, right? And if you're a pitcher, guess what? You only play every fifth day, every fourth day. I'm astounded by that. But then again, we talked about this in the last episode, was that it's a $10 billion industry. You better find a way to pay these guys. But what does it come back to? Who does it come back to? It comes back to the fans. And that's why when you go to the games, you're spending $12 for a freaking single beer.
You got a $50 ticket, $12 beer, $8 hot dog,
right?
$4 soda,
right? And I said this the last time on the show. I was like, you know what? The price it would take for me and my wife to go, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. I sit in club level, right? I just got to a point in my life where I want to sit where it's comfortable. I want to, if I have to drop a deuce, I can go into a clean bathroom and it's quiet. There might be a little music in there, maybe the game's on or whatever, but they're clean. The food and the service is just better in club level because that's what you're paying for. But the price I would pay for my wife and I to go to a game, either at Camden Yards or down at Nat Stadium or anywhere in Major League Baseball, to sit there and have our drinks or do whatever during the course of a game, I could take that money and I can buy MLB ticket. I can watch 4,000 games a year in HD, and I can watch any team on any night playing, and that's why I do it. Last year, I my wife and I, anytime the Dodgers were on, I was watching them. I bet I watched between 50 and 60 games. Easy.
We don't talk about the Dodgers anymore. They took Freddie Freeman away.
Yeah, I was going to get to him. Minor league salaries. I like that you have to boost minor league salaries. You just have to. You can't let those kids languish who are trying to make ends meet. We talk with Tommy Byer, and Tommy's talking about, you have these kids who are just struggling. They're playing college baseball and they're playing summer ball and they're staying in people's houses. They can't pay rent. You have to sponsor them and help them make ends meet, and that's, if baseball is going to survive, it has to survive at the minor league level. You have to have a pool of talent, and it has to be good talent. And in order to get good talent, guess what? You got to fucking pay them. You just have to pay them. So that's huge. The whole increase in the competitive balance tax, I don't know. I just don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that at all. Let's talk some of these free agent signings. And you knew it was coming. I'm a huge Dodger fan. When I woke up, I think it was a Wednesday morning. When I woke up, I flip on SportsCenter, and Freddie Freeman's freaking going to the Dodgers. I freaking shook my wife. I leaned over and I was like, get up, get up, get up. And she's like, what in the hell is wrong with you? And I go, the Dodgers just landed Freddie Freeman. She goes, no way. And I was like, yes way. Holy shit. That
I cannot believe it. I can't fathom it. Like, he has been the face of the franchise
for
the last decade when they've been garbage.
Right.
And
he got there, they were terrible.
Yeah, he's the prime, and he wanted to stay there. He
Right,
said,
right.
I believe in what we're doing. We can build this. And then they did it.
Yeah.
They built it.
Yep.
They had one of their big guys went down with injury. Ronald Acuna went down with injuries, and then they signed all these outfielders to come in and kind of piece it together to get to the series, pulled it out.
And then they played lights out.
Yeah.
They played the way
and
they should have.
beat Houston just like was the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
but then I'm seeing Freddie Freeman talk when he's getting the World Series trophy, and I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to see him in a Braves uniform.
Yeah, it just seemed surreal.
The writing was on the wall.
Right, and the thing is, he wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't extend him to 6 years. They wouldn't. They wanted to give him 4 years, and they just wouldn't extend him. And there were a lot of the talking heads in baseball are like, well, do you really give him 6 years? Who's going to offer him 6 years? And LA goes, we'll give him 6 years. And the next thing you know, he's a Southern California boy anyway.
Well, the Braves signed Matt Olson
a
few weeks before that. And then it was when the Braves players saw that, they were like, well, bye, Freddie.
Bye, Freddie. Yeah. And it was weird because I read an article about Freddie, what he was going through. And he was like, we were in contract talks and it just dried up.
They contacted him twice.
And one of them was during Thanksgiving just to say, hey, Freddie, how you doing? And he's like, I don't know. I'm eating fucking turkey. And he's like, anything on money? And they're like, no, it's nice talking to you. Bye now. Click, and they just didn't extend. And then obviously they freaking pick up Matt Olson, who's he's an all-star first baseman. He's a quality guy. When you put his stats at his age and his production and his WAR and all that stuff in place, he's probably a better bet financially for the Braves to pay for than Freddie Freeman.
But there's a sentimental factor. It would have been like trading Chipper at some point.
Right. Or Dale Murphy, trying to get rid of one of those guys. Yeah.
Or if the Yankees would have dealt Jeter.
Oh, yeah.
You just can't do that. But I think it's going to be okay for Freddie. He's going to go to a contender, and hopefully I'll see him in the playoffs.
What do you mean you hope he goes to a contender?
I said, hopefully we'll see him in the playoffs.
I saw where
on the road to a repeat.
Dave Roberts said on some sports show, I think it was with Dan Patrick. He was on with Dan Patrick, and he said, we are going to win the World Series. He said it. He called it out. We're going to win the World Series. But you know what? With the Dodgers last year, it was a function of health down the stretch.
It fell apart.
And one of the things that really derailed them was this whole Trevor Bauer thing. And to me, what Major League Baseball is doing to Trevor Bauer is inexcusable. When you put that in place with what we're going to talk about later with Deshaun Watson, none of those charges stuck. None of them. They did not file charges. It didn't go any further. They just didn't. They dropped it. And then for Major League Baseball or the NFL to punish these guys further when the legal system can't punish them is astounding to me. There's
a level of due diligence to be had.
Right.
However,
I get that.
Not to the detriment of that person's livelihood and career.
Right. One of the things that they were talking about that once the Chargers they were not going forward with the charges. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that Bauer and his attorneys said, moving forward, because if this goes to a civil case, we want to have all of her text messages released, all of them, to prove the innocence of my client. They need to be replaced. They need to be revealed to everyone so that you can see the shit that was going on. And so, if I'm Trevor Bauer, I'm like, okay, I'll take your little suspension now. But the Dodgers paid me a big contract in which he got paid all of it. He got his full contract last year. So that has to say something to you about where Major League Baseball is with punishing him. I hope they don't freaking suspend him. Because if I'm him, I sue Major League Baseball and just go, you're not fucking me over. You're just not. So if Trevor Bauer enters the lineup again, you've got three really, really good players in freaking Urias and freaking the young gun. Gee, many Christmas. How can I not?
Yeah, that guy.
How can I not remember him? Please look it up real quick. I'm sitting here thinking, mumbling over my words. He's the number one guy they have, and then you throw in Bauer, and they re-signed Kenley Jansen for their closer for another year.
No, Kenley Jansen's going to Atlanta.
What?
Yes,
I
sir.
thought he's
He signed in Atlanta 1 year, 16 mil.
wow.
Yeah.
I thought he was coming back.
Yeah, to Atlanta.
Are you shitting me?
I swear.
Wow.
That was my only solace in the Dodgers getting Freddie Freeman is we'll take Jansen, the best closer in baseball. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but there was a couple of other signings while you look for him is Trevor Story. Trevor Story going to the freaking Boston Red Sox, and then also Carlos Correa going to the Twins, and we mentioned him earlier.
Are you talking about Cody Bellinger?
No, Bellinger's the center fielder. He's going to be the
okay.
outfielder.
I was like, oh.
No, Bellinger's signed. He's going to be there. Mookie Betts, obviously. When you look at their starting lineup, it's murderer's row. It is. Max Muncy's healthy again.
Trey Turner.
Yeah, Trey Turner playing short now, his true position and stuff.
That's where he belongs.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was talking to somebody and they were like he was my favorite player, and I was a Nationals fan, and when they went freaking fire sale and got rid of Walker Buehler is his name now that it just popped into my head. Number 1 pitcher, Walker Buehler. Did it just pop up? Yeah. Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, and freaking putting Trevor Bauer back in there. Not to mention they got a 1-year deal on Kershaw too. So there's some things there. I'm not a huge Tony Gonsolin fan. I've never been a fan of Gonsolin. He's not proven to me, other than one game in the playoffs 2 years ago. Everything else has been lights out, let freaking ball rip. He's given up key hits. I'm just not a big fan of his. But there you go. Baseball's back. I hope it's good. I think it will be. There has to be something special happen this year in order to keep people around. I just do. Anything else for the good of the order on baseball being back? I'm talking a lot there.
Go Braves.
Go Braves. All right, here we go. Big top of the story. NFL free agency. Let's start with Tommy. Tommy is back. Tommy was retired for all of about 31 days or something like that. And then he had to take care of his kids and watch his supermodel wife walk around. He's like, fuck this. I got to play football. I got to go play football again.
I can still sling it. Let me go do it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Brady returning?
He's the GOAT, man.
You think that's what it is? You think he's just not done?
I think, well, first of all, he's coming back to everybody's leaving the NFC, right? All these AFC teams are being stacked. He didn't know that.
Except the Rams.
Well, yeah, but he didn't know that when he retired. But now he's coming back to
a weaker
schedule
NFC
that I think he's like, I can light this on fire and have a better season than I did last year. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he led the NFL last year in yards, touchdowns, completions, and attempts.
I mean, he was runner up to MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude was still playing, and you come off a year like that, I think you're not ready to hang
I
it up
think
yet.
with the exception of interceptions and maybe completion percentage, his numbers were better than Rodgers.
I think you're right.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean,
I know right now, looking at the numbers, he had more yards and more touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I know Skip and Shannon were talking about he reached out to Julio Jones. So he's doing classic
doing
Tom
his
Brady
thing,
and loading up his team. And he said, the quote that they said, Tom Brady was telling players that he wants to build something special, which leads people to believe that it might not even be a 1 year. I'm coming back for just 1 year. I might have 2 or 3 left.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't want to see him decline during the season. I just rather see him, freaking knock the top off of it this year, win it all, bring back Edelman, get freaking Gronk back on the field, win it, bring in Julio, who needs to have his career resurrected. He's been freaking mired in injury, and he just needs to get to that spot. I mean, he played in the Super Bowl. And if Atlanta wins, he has to be in the discussion for MVP if Atlanta wins that game. Obviously, that didn't happen. But at the same time, if there's somebody that can help you resurrect your career, it's got to be Tom Brady.
Right.
I don't think Godwin will be available right away. Torn ACL. I don't know that he'll be available right away. But, is it good for football? Is it good for football that he returned?
I think it's good for the story of football. I don't know about anything else.
Yeah.
There's the NFC is a runaway for the Rams right now.
Yeah.
he makes them relevant. So what other story is there for the NFC?
Right.
But now there's a lot of rumors going around that Tom's going to get traded.
What?
To
Yeah,
Miami.
to Miami.
Yeah, I heard that too.
There is no
There's
way.
no way when he's
There's
recruiting
no way
guys to
Tampa.
come play with him in Tampa, they're not going to deal.
There's no way Tom Brady is leaving. Could you imagine him throwing balls to the cheetah?
Or Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Or Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki.
I mean, the list goes on
Yeah,
and on.
Gesicki. Yeah, he's Penn Stater. Yeah.
But the O line is still not great in Miami, so
Right.
he wouldn't have. He's got Teron Armstead. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's better off staying.
Part of
in
me
Tampa.
said
Him
that.
and Arians are clicking.
Yes. Part of me says that Brady came back because they stole his retirement.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
You know, they freaking they couldn't wait. It's like you didn't even give him common courtesy and respect to have an opportunity to say, I'm done. And this is why. This is it. No, you had to race out there, get your nose in his business, and then release the fact that he's going to retire.
Right.
That's part of why I hate those freaking talking heads sometimes. Are they right on a lot of occasions? Sure, but are they wrong? Yeah. Yes, they're wrong. And a lot of them, a lot of those guys, they've never played the game. They don't know what freaking. No one's been in the position where Brady is. You should have just said, hey, if this guy's walking away, he's going to walk away on his own terms, and he's going to let us know when that happens. And we should just give him the common courtesy and respect to do that. They didn't fucking do that. They went and did their own thing, and that doesn't sit well with me.
It's Brett Favre's fault.
Yeah, Fava Rava Ray. All right, let's take a look at number 2, Aaron Rodgers. What does Aaron Rodgers' contract do to Green Bay? He gets 4 years, $200 million. He gets $163 million guaranteed. Did that chase away Devontae Adams? Did that contract?
They couldn't afford to pay both of them.
No shot. No shot they could afford both of them.
And so you're talking about the one guy that makes you special as a quarterback, that one guy who can get open and be a difference maker. And because the team couldn't afford to lose you,
Right.
They let their best young talent get away. That dude went to the Raiders. And did you see his contract? Look at his contract. I brought it up here. Look at his contract. Devontae Adams, $141 million. 5 years, $141 million.
He was the highest paid receiver for about a day.
$65 million guaranteed. He would never get that in Green Bay. There's no way they could afford both of them. There's just no way.
Well, not only did Aaron Rodgers lose Devontae Adams, but he also
Valdez
lost.
Scantling.
Yeah, MVS is now with the Chiefs, right?
He went when Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs, they brought in MVS.
And then as an organization, you just lost 2 receivers, and then this makes your draft of Jordan Love look even worse because now what are you going to do with him? Because he has no game film. Well, I think he played in one game, and he did terrible, right? So
you can't deal it. He has no value.
There's no trade value at all. You traded up to pick him. I mean, what are you going to do now?
So this begs the question, is this prime for a bad season and Rodgers to walk away when it goes bad? If it's not what he wants it to be, is he just going to stay there and collect his millions and just be mired in mediocrity?
I don't think his personality will let him do that. But it's also a contract that can't be dealt. You can't deal that contract.
No, you're not. No.
You're going to have to buy him out and take the cap hit if he decides to go.
Right.
Because it's been contentious for the last 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
Ever since LaFleur came in, it's been not great. The optics haven't been great.
Hackett, who was the quarterback's coach, is now gone. Where did Hackett go? Denver's now the new head coach in Denver.
Yeah.
Who just landed Russell.
Right.
And look at Russell's contract. Look at Russell Wilson. Oh, I didn't get it. Where's Russell's? We'll get it on here. Russell's.
It's not on that one.
It's not? No, somebody got to find Russell Wilson's contract. Well, let's go back one then. Tyreek Hill to the Fins. I know Cliff is all happy about getting the cheetah. My big thing about him is
Russell was 4 for 140.
4 years, $140 million.
With 107 guaranteed.
$100 million, $107 million guaranteed.
70 at signing.
Yeah, that'll make you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell your wife to come off the road for a while. On that.
Right. Tyreek Hill, 5 picks though. He got 4 years, 120, got 72 million guaranteed.
But if you look at everything the Dolphins have done, and I will give all the credit to our previous coach, because all the deals that he made when he first came in, the Dolphins still have 2 first-round picks next year, even after this.
Right.
So it's not, they didn't mortgage the entire franchise like they did in Washington to get RG3. This was, I think, calculated to say, let's put a nucleus around and see what Tua can do, and bring in Teron Armstead to shore up the O-line, bringing in 2 decent running backs and a fullback to help with blocking. If he can't do it this year,
right. If Tua can't win with this squad around him,
Yep.
you need to go look somewhere else. Who's his backup?
Well, now it used to be. I can't remember the kid's name now.
You're as bad as me with Walker Bueller.
Uh-oh.
I can't think off the top of my head. The fact that Tyreek Hill comes onto the field now and you can't single coverage him. You can't. That makes Gesicki better. It's just like he was in Kansas City, where he made Kelsey so much better because you have to find a way to cover up his speed.
Right.
And then that leaves Kelsey open. Like that dude I don't even know if he has a pattern or a route to run on any given play. He just run to the bubble and the kid Mahomes will just get you the ball, which is crazy.
I mean, we did just sign Teddy Bridgewater to be his backup.
Okay.
But before that, it was I'm trying to think of who it was before that.
As you look for that, we're just gonna update the Final Four, which is coming up here in a minute. Kansas has just whooped up on Miami for the first time has gone. This is the farthest they've gone in the history of the school in NCAA tournament. So you gotta take your hats off to them. But Kansas just it's a basketball school. If you were to play Miami versus Kansas in football, you'd be because Kansas would give up 50 to them.
Absolutely. Jacoby
Brissett,
who
who was not a bad backup.
No,
Who's
that's
not
who
really
it
a bad
was.
backup.
He's not any longer.
He was
Right.
pretty good in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and he was really good in freaking New England when he was with.
Played a couple of games in Miami this year. He did all right.
Right.
He was a decent game manager.
Yeah, and that's who you want. You want a good quality backup. Give him a few million, and then if your guy goes down, he steps in. The biggest thing too will be keeping Tua upright and making him be healthy for an entire season. And the one thing about Tyreek Hill is he has been reasonably strong. I mean, in his career, you haven't seen him going out game after whatever with like Julio's been for. He's probably could have been one of the most dominating receivers of his generation, but because of injury, he just got knocked down a peg. And hopefully Tyreek Hill will bring something to Miami that helps them out. But you're right, Cliff. If Tua can't win with the tools he has around him now, something's wrong.
And I know everybody's saying, I mean, the conversation, I don't know, people that watch Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk when they talk every day, but their conversation right now is, does Tua even have the arm strength to be for what Tyreek Hill, what Pat Mahomes was, right? Because Tyreek Hill has the ability, he has that blazing speed that he can fly down the field, he can just toast everybody, and Pat Mahomes could throw the ball 400 yards and just let Tyreek get under it. But does Tua have the arm strength to be able to stretch the field? Because, you have Mike Gesicki underneath. You have these other guys. You have Jalen Waddle.
Cedric Wilson, Preston Williams, all those guys that are also still out there.
The role players.
Right. Jalen Waddle. You've got the nucleus. Durham Smythe.
Yeah, and now, not for nothing, and I've never been this over-the-top Mahomes fan. The one thing about Mahomes that makes him unique is he spreads his love. You know what I mean? He gets the ball to the open guy.
And the weird arm angles he can throw from, and that's because of his baseball background.
His arm strength is
he's crazy. He
incredible.
can throw it three-quarters.
There's only one other guy who throws better than him from those odd arm angles with as little effort, and that's Aaron Rodgers. He's the only other one.
You think?
Oh yeah.
I think Matt Stafford.
Nah,
his arms big.
He had those no lookers in the Super Bowl. I mean, he does a bunch of funky sidearm stuff,
but
too.
not with the relative ease that Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes do it. But I think he has that potential. So let's talk Stafford. Stafford gets a freaking huge contract. He gets 4 years, 160 million. He gets $61.5 million this year. in 2022. 61 million.
Yeah.
61 million
Thanks
to
for
play
the,
17
thanks
games.
for the hardware, right?
Yeah. But that's what you do.
Right.
So when you see a guy who freaking languished in freaking Detroit and just was downtrodden, for the Rams to take a chance on him, because you know what? I guarantee you is that they watched the film on him. They watched the film and said, Stafford is the guy. He is a veteran quarterback. He can make every throw.
Right.
He's got good enough wheels. His decision making, could that have been quarterback? Could that have been a system? Could that have been any of those things? Maybe. But you put him into a Ram system where he has more than one weapon. It's not the same as throwing to Megatron.
Right.
You have a series of guys. Uh, um, um, what's his name? Cooper Kupp, who is in my mind right now probably the best all around. But I would match Devontae Adams. Probably just has another level.
Right.
But in terms of efficiency, Cooper Kupp's right up there. And then you got OBJ, who took the pressure off, played his role the way he was supposed to.
Right.
And I've never been a freaking OBJ fan, but when he went down in the freaking Super Bowl, I was like, that's not what's supposed to happen to a guy like that.
Right.
You didn't want to see that. But he got the hardware. I don't see him being ready for the season. Maybe
he's a free agent right now, isn't he?
I just don't see him. I think if I'm him, and we talked about this too, CJ and I had talked about this. If I'm him, do you take less money to stay with a team that has resurrected your career?
Absolutely. I think at this point in his career, he should. I don't know that he will.
Right.
I think that he has matured enough, and seeing the way he played this year,
yeah,
I think he would.
Yeah, I think the Rams organization is so well run at this point that he has to consider staying for a few less bucks. Let's face it. Are you going to make your millions there? Fuck yeah. You just won a Super Bowl in a gigantic market that has not been football friendly to you.
Right.
And now you have a Super Bowl winning franchise that could very well likely come back to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC, albeit Tommy has something to say about that. But they have all the tools. They have all the tools to return to prominence again. And you lock up Matt Stafford.
That head coach, McVay, is
Sean McVay
he never should have been let go of Washington.
Oh,
he was in Washington.
You think about that.
Him and Shanahan both.
Yeah, they were both there.
And now the Vikings new head coach was the Washington quarterback coach. He coached Kirk Cousins and RG3 for a couple years. I mean, Washington just keeps letting them go. Right. But McVay is fantastic.
Right. I saw something on Real Sports with him. I think it was, I don't know, a year or two ago. And like Sean McVay has like a fucking photographic memory for every game he's ever coached in.
He can remember every
play. Like he can remember every play, what took place with that. You know, in this day and age where you're an NFL head coach and you're so fucking geeked up on the sideline that you have your own personal get back coach, you're fucking serious. Right. You're a serious dude on the sideline.
Listen, 6 days of the week, you're the strength coach. On Sundays, you're pulling me off the fucking field.
You're getting me off. Right. And so, I didn't want to like the Rams. I didn't want to like them because I thought they were buying a Super Bowl. But the way Sean McVay,
they've built it the correct way.
They did it the right way. It was very similar to the year before when Tampa did it. And so I didn't feel so bad. But when you look at Matt Stafford, he's going to get $130 million guaranteed. Next year, he's going to make $61 million. He better be good. They better be good.
Do you think that was there the whole time he was in Detroit? He just didn't have the pieces?
Well, no, we were talking. You were getting the beers, and Josh and I were talking, and it's just like, you know what? They had to have seen the film. They had to see what his qualities were.
That's what McVay said at his opening press conference when he introduced him. He's like, I know what we're getting with this guy.
Well, yeah. All I needed to see out of Matt Stafford, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but a couple years ago, he breaks his collarbone, goes on the sideline during a timeout. They check him over. They're like, you can't go back. And he says, get the fuck off me. Walks back in the game and leads a game-winning drive. I mean, his toughness, you can't complain about his toughness. Nope. He's been a leader. You're right. He wasted away. He had a couple years with Megatron, and Megatron took off. But
Most tackle
I've always
receiver
been a
inside
fan
the
of Matt
5-yard
Stafford.
line.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on. I'm with you. I think Stafford resurrected his career. It is a notch above what Tannehill has done when he went to Tennessee,
For sure.
but because of how he did it. But let's see if he gets it done a second year. Even if he leads them to the playoffs and whatever, you never know what injuries creep up. It's a 17-game season. It's long. You never know what happens. Yeah, the Rams are going to be good. They're just going to be good. And
Right.
and Aaron Donald's back, and he's not going to play half-assed. And the dude, he's just not going to play half-assed. And they have quality. They let Von Miller go.
Yeah, thanks. He went to the Bills.
Yeah, and he went to the Bills, and so it's a target on your back now. So Von Miller gets a big contract, $120 million. 6 years. Von Miller will be with the Buffalo Bills till his career ends.
Wow.
You think he's going to stay? You don't think he'll play it out?
No,
Why?
I don't think he'll be able to.
Why?
I don't think he will. I think he might get 3 or 4 years out of that.
Yeah, but even so,
Oh yeah, I think he'll play the rest of his career.
You know what?
Right.
When you and that
I don't know that
stands
it'll
to
be
reason.
6
So
years.
he gets 6 years,
$20 million a year.
$120 million a year, and so but 50 of it's guaranteed. So that might be a little insight into, hey, we're going to get you halfway through this contract. Maybe we'll get you 3 years.
Yeah.
You're right, man, and then void the rest of it. You get 51 million, a little plus to that.
We're going to front load you, and then
Yeah.
knowing that
And then you can
we'll
sail
take that
off,
hit. Yep.
sail off into the sunset.
But Buffalo's another team that might be making a run.
Yeah.
I mean, they get Von Miller. They just on the interior defensive line, they just got Tim Settle from Washington, who's been a ball player. I mean, he's a name that's kind of been under the radar. But adding Tim Settle to that defensive line with Von Miller, I mean, you just help boost. your
Settle's a
defense.
Manassas boy, isn't he? He's from Virginia.
Yeah,
he's
he
from
played
Manassas.
for Virginia Tech.
He
yeah.
went. You know where he went to? He went to a school called Unity Reed. It used to be called Stonewall Jackson, but because you know how the old
You are high, right?
Yeah. So, but Tim Settle came from. I think if I'm not mistaken, he came from Stonewall Jackson, and they've had a number of players that are in the NFL and are doing well. I think they had one of the highest rated linebackers in the nation, and this year their Mike linebackers headed to Alabama.
Yep.
I saw 2 games of film, and I would say he'll be a career backup. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe it's a Settles. You know, I don't know. All right, let's take a look at this. We talked about Matt Stafford, Carson Wentz,
Commander Carson, baby.
Commander Carson. Let's take a look at. Let's see what we have on his. Is Carson Wentz contract even on here?
No, I don't.
Probably not. No.
Broncos also signed freaking Randy Gregory from the freaking.
And what a swap, huh?
Wow.
I mean, he was all in on the Cowboys and then saw that language in the contract and said, "Forget it."
Yeah.
Wentz was 4 for 128. No. That was his previous.
The Raiders
He's under
also
contract with Washington for the upcoming 2022 season, where he'll carry a cap hit of 28.2 with 15 guaranteed.
And I know Washington has cut quite a few guys to make room for old Commander Carson. Landon Collins really being one of the big ones, and that's a big. He kind of, he was not what he was when he was playing for the Giants, but he made the switch from safety to linebacker, and I think he fit right in.
Pretty
He was
seamlessly.
probably one of the best linebackers on the team. I mean, they have Cole Holcomb and Jamean Davis, which are 2 guys that are young.
You know, I've talked about this with a couple of people about Washington's front 7, and they're about as good as it is
They're
in
going to bring Bobby
football.
Wagner in.
I hope you're right.
I think it's going to be a Maryland DC team that brings them in. It's either going to be the Ravens, because you think about who they've had at linebacker, and Bobby Wagner fits that mold of
Stepping into
Ray
Ray Lewis
Ray.
issues.
Of
Well,
Ray.
they still have Patrick Queen, right?
Yeah.
So he fits at home in one of those squads.
Cleveland.
You think? I don't know.
Be.
Maybe you got to deal with, dare I say, Baker's mess that's evolving as we speak.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with him.
He's going to end up in Tampa.
All right, let's talk about the freaking head of the snake, Deshaun
Here
Watson.
we go.
Speaking
Deshaun
of
Watson,
Cleveland,
$230 million, fully guaranteed. Has not played in 2 seasons.
Seasons.
We talked about this before the show, and Cliffy made a statement, and I think it's worthy of talking about on the show. In his press conference, he says to the nation, essentially, I have no regrets.
no regrets.
None. Regrets, none. Now, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? My thing is what I told you before is that he can't admit regret. He can't. Because if he has regrets, that's an admission of guilt.
Right.
And there's no way his attorneys or anybody in his camp are going to let him admit guilt for any of this shit.
He did follow that statement with, I am innocent of all charges, and I will not be settling because I'm not guilty.
Right. And I how could you not? How could you not? And this goes back to what we were talking about with Trevor Bauer. These guys are in such high profile. They have gazillions of dollars, literally gazillions of dollars. They can do whatever they want. They go wherever they want. They get themselves into these situations. And then when they least expect it, they blow up in their face. And to me, if I'm freaking Deshaun Watson, if I ever go down the road and I see Yankee Cranky Shop, or I see massage, or I see anything, there's no way. There is no way. I'm steering my car in the other direction, and I'll take the speeding ticket as I drive 100 miles an hour away from anything that will even remotely get me in trouble.
All 40 plus of his massages were sought out online through Craigslist and other shady avenues.
Right.
There's something to be said with that.
Right. Was he doing things that he shouldn't have been doing? It's clear that it's probably clear that he should not have been doing what he was doing.
And I think it was Shannon Sharp that said, when you're at that level of play, you normally have your people that you trust, right? So you're not going to 40 different people to get a massage. You normally have your 2 or 3 guys or girls that you trust, you build relationships with, they know what they're doing. The fact that you're an NFL quarterback and you're just kind of bouncing around doing whatever's comfortable that week is a little bit, like you just said, he was talking across state lines, many state lines, to girls, women that he had never met before in his life, and you're going to go get a massage from them for what?
Okay. So this begs the question then, Coach, is that did he have an air of invincibility? Like, I'm invincible. You can't touch me.
Absolutely.
I'm an NFL quarterback. I have this lifestyle. I do remember this.
It's the Icarus. Like, he flew a little too close to the sun and he got fucked.
There you go.
He got burned.
Yeah. Part of me just, I'm like, God, how did you not know that shit like this could happen to you,
And
son?
how could someone not close to him say, stop?
Stop.
Right.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Right. You are going to ruin your career, son.
I mean, if Robert Kraft a couple years ago had everything come to light.
Yeah.
I mean, that precedes
and you
what
see,
he did, right?
You see the power of a billionaire and all of the shit he went through to wash that away.
Right.
Now you're a high-profile NFL athlete. Now Robert Kraft is a billionaire, but if you were to see Robert Kraft walking down the street or getting out of a town car or whatever like that, the average person is not going to recognize who the hell he is.
Right.
But CJ's trying to log in and trying to get us online. He's at home down in Manassas. He said he's going to try and get on, but that was a message that just got in. But when you're Deshaun Watson and you're that big of a high-profile guy, from the time you were in college and you burst onto the scene,
right,
you're a common face. And you're right, Cliff. How the hell did his freaking personal staff just not yank him up by the collar and go, what the fuck are you doing, son?
Anyone on his payroll who has any interest in self-preservation of making their own money,
right,
saying, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Stop.
Yeah. Right. Just stop. You're going to throw it all away.
And he couldn't see the writing on the wall from all those before him. Robert Kraft, Big Ben.
Yeah.
All those guys from before, knock it off.
But maybe he saw that they walked away from that stuff and they could weather the storm. I can weather the storm, and now I'll just continue on.
Now, the optics of everything look damning on him. It could come out that he is, in fact, not guilty of any of this.
Right.
But But the old adage of where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
Over 40 of these women, and 22 of them are making allegations. There's something there.
Right, but their attorney and the attorneys for those people are all at stake of money, and they all know that how it gets paid off.
And according to Cleveland, they did their own vetting.
Right.
And they are comfortable with this.
Right.
They said they understand that it's going to not look great in the interim.
Right.
However, they believe in him, his story. They vetted him. They talked to the women involved, and they're going forward.
Which brings up another great point that it wasn't only Cleveland that was interested in him, right?
Yep.
Like there was multiple.
You're right.
There was
You're
4
right.
or 5 teams
Right.
that
There
had
was
huge interest in
there
him.
was Atlanta. There was
New Orleans,
New
right?
Orleans. New Orleans was into it. Cleveland was on the hook first, and then all of a sudden
Tampa was interested.
I know
Were
Philly.
they?
Philly was
Okay,
floating
because that
around
was
too.
with the Brady.
Yep.
Brady's
Right.
leaving. And he would have been a nice fit there, I think, in terms of his athleticism, fit that whole system. I think a guy like Bruce Arians could have got the most out of.
I mean, Miami was linked to him last year.
Yeah, right. When everything first came out, and
yeah, I just look at that. The whole idea that his contract is guaranteed,
yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
all 230.
You're putting all your eggs in a basket.
Yeah.
That's a big basket to put in.
that hasn't been filled in 2 seasons.
While still having Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And you look back 5 years ago, Cleveland was dead in the water. You look at, what was that movie, Draft Day?
Right. Kevin Costner.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, they were building the right way. They were doing things the right way. But I think they just didn't have the right piece at quarterback. Plus, in 4 years, they had 3 head coaches.
Right.
You can't have continuity there. However, you have a good nucleus there. You have built this program from the garbage heap to be a contender that people talk about, and you need this one piece, and this is your Hail Mary. You put it on Deshaun Watson and say, okay, now what's the fallout going to be from the NFL? Are there going to be any sanctions from them saying he can't play? Because now Cleveland has pretty much told Baker, it's either nobody or you, and we're putting our eggs on nobody. Baker Mayfield is still a Cleveland Brown right now.
Yeah. And that's where do you put him? Where does he go? And
He goes to Tampa and sits behind Brady for a couple of years and takes over, and he teaches him how to be an adult. The Browns said that they wanted an adult. They literally said that in a press conference.
right.
What does that say about you?
Well, it's wild to see what insurance company is it that he does with the staying home with Baker when he's in the Cleveland Stadium?
Right.
I mean, it's crazy to see a guy like that. You have the commercials with him in your stadium. He's the face of your franchise, and then another quarterback becomes available, and suddenly he's not mature enough to be our guy, and we're just gonna jump ship. So
I mean, he's got Hulu ads. He's got he was a Hulu face of Hulu for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's
He was the
Progressive
dude.
or whatever it is with.
yeah, I don't know. And then Jarvis Landry's gone from there too. He's a free agent. They brought in Amari Cooper, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a good deal. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a good deal. He replaces OBJ. Amari Cooper's a solid receiver, man. He's really he fits the bill. Jarvis Landry, where do you think Landry ends up?
I want him back in Miami.
You think so?
I would love to see it, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, because I don't think he's a cheap get.
No, he's not.
I
Not
don't-
anymore.
I don't think he's a cheap get.
I would love to see him in Washington, but I know it won't happen.
I think he's a soldier. You know what I mean? He did what he was supposed to do. If you go back to when HBO did Hard Knocks with the Cleveland Browns, he was a pretty solid character in their organization. I think he did all of the right things.
Honestly, I could see him fitting in well with the Rams. Him and OBJ played together in high school and in college.
LSU.
And I could see him fitting at Tampa as well. Because Gronk is still sitting out there in ambiguity.
Yeah.
So
And you just said Godwin might not be back.
And
right?
Godwin
Godwin just signed his contract, though. Godwin,
but he might not
he's
be
not
back at the
available
beginning
at the
of
he
the
might
season,
not be
right?
available.
Because he's coming
You're
off that
right.
ACL.
You're right. He might not be available, but he got paid. The Titans. Oh no, that's Harold Landry. I'm looking down through here. There's a Teron Armstead. There's a Randy Gregory at $70 million. Man.
who's the big edge guy that's still out there? There's still some big guys out
I
there.
got a Chris Godwin got.
Clowney's still available.
There's
And
Godwin.
Dominican Sue's out there.
Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
I have a list of the top remaining free agents. Andy Dalton, Red Rifle,
Rocket.
Red
Red
Rifle,
Rocket.
Melvin Gordon, Julio Jones,
which we were talking about earlier.
Gronkowski.
To go to Tampa.
Oh, Trey Flowers is still available out there.
Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle. I'm in the chat. CJ's in the chat. Oh, I see you now. I got you. So he said
Justin Houston.
He
is
said
still
he's
out
trying
there
to
too.
call in. Hey, Josh,
That's
you
a
want to
big
hand
one.
me that mic over there? We got to get this mic so that if CJ calls in, we can get him on sound. So it says he's trying to call in, but he's in the chat right now. So we're talking about NFL free agency, CJ. We're into the contracts, and we're looking at the top remaining things. Bobby Wagner is going to be a huge get for anybody. Dallas, LA, Baltimore are all hot for him. Could you imagine if he goes to LA? Chargers?
I mean, we haven't talked about Honey Badger yet either.
Yeah. Well, the Chargers, that's a team right there. They
Stephon Gilmore.
Khalil Mack to the Chargers,
Yep,
opposite
Khalil
of Joey
Mack.
Bosa.
But here's the thing: is that CJ will be able to speak to this. Is that when we talked about it years ago, probably a year and a half ago, we talked about what will it take for the Bears, because I'm a huge Bears fan. And what will it take for the Bears to actually be relevant again? And one of the things I said was they're going to have to eat freaking Khalil Mack's contract and get rid of him to create enough picks and money, because his contract was so big. You couldn't have a profound free agent signing. You just couldn't. And they did it. And the Chargers took his entire contract. I mean, they took it all.
Right.
And that was huge. That was huge for the Bears. And then you look at some of the things. There he is. CJ, can you hear us? It just showed up. I just saw you online there for a second. He just showed up. It said he entered the live studio, and I don't see anything.
He going.
He's still there, but he's still in the chat room. I can't try. It says he's trying to call in, but we'll see. So
where does Honey Badger end up?
Wow.
Pittsburgh?
Would you like him there?
They need help.
Pittsburgh gets better.
Him with Minka?
Yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick.
Former
But
Dolphin.
would you go with him, or would you go for a cheaper option, probably like Landon Collins? Like, I feel like Landon Collins is a cheaper option than Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu's been there, done that, played at the highest stage.
Who's going to be throwing the ball for them this year?
Well,
so what it says here, it says he's another big name to depart the Chiefs, still making the rounds to secure his next home. He'll be linked to at least a half a dozen teams. The Steelers, Cowboys, and Broncos seem to me to make the most sense. And I think you're right. Pittsburgh could use his help in the secondary. Dallas definitely could use his help. Just something about. I hate to say this.
Show. I don't.
I don't see him doing that. I don't see him stepping away from an organization that is well-rounded.
Right into mediocrity.
Yeah, as well-rounded as. CJ says Collins hasn't done anything in the past 2 years.
Well, that's why he'd be a cheaper option.
Yeah,
Mathieu,
well, that's
right? I mean,
he's not cheaper, affordable,
commanding all this money because he's not a superstar anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Not that he ever really was, but when he was playing for the Giants, he was playing at a much higher level than he did for Washington.
They could get Stephon Gilmore too.
Yeah, he's still out there. Gilmore,
that would be a good option.
He's about as locked down as they get, too. I mean, holy Christ!
Him with Minka in the back.
When they won
secondary
the Super Bowl, and he just essentially shut down the Rams' offense. He just took away their best.
I'll take
options.
him in Miami with Xavier Howard. Hey,
how much more can they afford?
Do you
they
guys
can't
still
afford
have Byron?
Yeah,
they still have Byron.
So then it doesn't matter about the offense, right?
Right. Your defense
wins championships.
Go,
Let's
right?
go.
Jadeveon Clowney. Where else are they listing him? What does it say on here?
He's a journeyman, isn't he? He's been around.
It stands to reason
He's going to the Rams.
And his camp will seek more than one year, $8 million.
Or Miami.
Though the Browns, with plenty of mouths to feed, they may not have the market.
The Dolphins and Rams may join the conversation at some point. Look at that.
It does say that. Yep.
The I said
makes
Cleveland.
It says Philly makes sense.
Philly or Cleveland make
Philly
the most
makes
sense.
sense, but the Dolphins and Rams may join the conversation. You know what? Philly could use as much help as they can get.
Well, they have Ryan Kerrigan, who, I mean, he's at the end of his career.
Yeah, and he's had flashes where he was his old self again, and now you just see flashes of him.
Right.
And I don't know if that's enough. But you could get a help. And it's the same thing with Clowney. You know, Clowney has not been who he was drafted to be. He's not been that top guy.
And Dominican Sue, same thing. He's a free agent right now.
Yeah. And he's the kind of guy right now in his career, I think he would take less money and stay in Tampa.
I think he has to.
I think he would. And it makes sense if I'm them. What about Gronk? And let's throw Gronk out
Gronk's
there
coming back.
before we round this out.
I've been keeping up with Gronk and keeping an eye on him. And people are like, okay, enough of you doing TikToks and doing all your silly game shows. Are you coming back or not? And I think Timmy B coming back makes the most sense for him to say one more year.
Well, with Tom Brady, when he was retired for his 40 days or whatever it was, the team that was circulating with Gronk's name was the Buffalo Bills. Now
they picked up O.J. Howard instead.
They got O.J. Howard instead, yeah.
Right.
They got O.J. Howard from Tampa.
But could you imagine Josh Allen if he had Gronk? I mean, his performance just goes.
As a Dolphins fan, I have to ask you to stop talking about it. I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Look, I already got to face Von Miller on a suspect O-line twice a year,
right?
Yeah.
On a team that Josh Allen is arguably the top 5 quarterback in the NFL, probably top 3.
Right.
That kid is special, and they're doing nothing but building the right weapons around him. And then you solidify that defense. It's a done deal.
That's what they need.
You talk about the AFC just running away with everything. That they're one of the teams in the mix that could just bulldoze everyone in their path.
Absolutely.
What's going to make Jacksonville better?
Going to England.
Just
do you think is it a coaching staff and player?
It's an owner. I think it's owner.
You think it's owner?
I think it's ownership.
They've been bad for a long time.
Yeah, they've been.
I mean, they had that flash, right? Because they had Jalen Ramsey and they had those guys, and they had that one year where they were okay. It was Blake Bortles the quarterback?
Blake Bortles, yeah.
Which is crazy to say that he was a playoff quarterback.
The mullet himself.
And then they had Gardner Minshew, right? But then they sent him off to get Trevor Lawrence.
But they also had our boy, the journeyman, Harvard. He's been everywhere.
Oh, Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
Fitzmagic. Yeah. All right. So, last question before we get out of this segment: how good are the Raiders going to be? Just signed Max Crosby, got him 4 years,
the most underrated edge guy in the league.
$94 million. 4 years, $94 million.
Monster.
$53 million guaranteed.
He was worth every penny.
I think he is a difference maker there. Who else do they land? There's another one on here where they land. Damn it! Who else did they get? There's another big name with the Raiders.
Well, of course, Davante
Adams.
Yeah, of course, Davante Adams.
You know, this goes back to what the Tua thing in with the Finns. Carr, can he make this happen with a guy like Davante Adams?
I think so, because him and Davante Adams played together in college.
They did. They already have a connection going in.
They were roommates in college.
He knows where to throw it, how to throw it.
So is this one of those things where he better win with this guy?
It's a make it or break it for Carr.
Absolutely.
And then Carr is done after this
Just
year.
like Tua, for sure.
Who do you replace him with?
You draft someone and build. What's out there?
Yeah.
And what's going to be out there? All the big guys that we've talked about have contracts that after a year from now, you can't absorb Russell's
Tom Brady
contract.
to the Raiders next year.
No chance. No chance. Tom Brady can't go anywhere. Or Tom Brady's not going anywhere. You got, Aaron Rodgers? You can't move that contract anywhere. You're not going to move that contract. Russell Wilson, you're not moving that contract.
Right? No, not anymore.
You got maybe the rookie guys that are on the rookie contracts. Somebody like Tua could go there.
Okay.
Carson Wentz.
Well,
Get him out of town.
I mean, you're already mortgaging Carson out of Washington, all right?
Get Carson out of Washington. All right. Last thing then. Raiders should be good. Should be good. Should be
on
a tough.
paper.
Let's call them a tough out.
On
they
paper,
should
yes.
be a very tough
Right.
out. All right, last thing that I'm going to say, and I'm going to throw it out there because I was not a fan when he was drafted because the Bears, because I'm the Bears and I'm the host today, so fuck you guys. Trubisky,
Mitch
here
Trubisky.
we
Trubisky
I was wondering if it was going to come up.
to the Steelers. Here's my thing. When Mitchell Trubisky was interviewed recently, when he was with Buffalo, they basically interviewed him. They wanted him. I think the media wanted him to throw Matt Nagy under the bus. I think they wanted him to throw it under the bus. And guess what Trubisky did? He did the best thing possible. He kept his mouth shut and he said, look, in a Matt Nagy system, I wasn't able to use all of the talents that I had because I had to do so many things a certain way. Right. Because that's what coach had. And he goes, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't do those things for them. And so it stood to reason that after a certain period of time, I had to leave. It was time for me to go. And so he says the best possible thing to get out from underneath throwing Nagy under the bus.
To get out from in front of the driver's seat of the bus.
Right. There's no reason why they should have set him up. And he said the perfect thing. So he goes to Buffalo and he sits behind Josh Allen and he works with the quarterback's coach in Buffalo and the head coach in Buffalo.
He sees what a quarterback can be and should be.
And the head coach in Buffalo helps him understand what his role was supposed to be. Now, is Mitchell Trubisky the same as Josh Allen? No. Do they have similar tools? Maybe. Maybe.
That's debatable.
They have Trubisky has good wheels.
Listen, as a Carolina guy, I can tell you he is not as advertised.
He's good wheels. He can do things that the Bears would not allow him to do. He could have extended plays. He could have done things and played a little bit more open. But in a Matt Nagy operated system, that wasn't capable.
In the right system.
And so this brings me to this. He comes to Pittsburgh now, and he has a veteran head coach who knows how to talk to players.
That's not his system either.
I get that. But he's getting the coaching of a veteran system. CJ puts up there something unplugged from Nagy's brain after the double doing. the double doink. Yeah. Could have been. Double doink. Yeah. That's what it was. I just think that Trubisky has more to offer than what he had in Chicago. I just think he does. And I think going to Pittsburgh, a very grounded NFL franchise, right. I don't even know if there's a longer tenured head coach in the NFL than Tomlin. I just don't see that.
Belichick.
Maybe Belichick and Mike Tomlin are about the two most grounded coaches in the league. What a better place for him to land.
Andy Reid would be better.
Maybe because Bruce Arians, same thing, same kind of thing. Because when you look at who was grooming and working with Tom Brady, is Byron Leftwich, and Byron Leftwich has
Could you imagine him sitting with Bruce Arians behind Brady for another year?
Yeah, and learning that role and being that guy.
But see, he's not going to sit behind anybody. I mean, he's going to Pittsburgh to be the guy, right?
He's got to be the guy.
Because it's either him or do they still have Mason Rudolph?
Yeah.
Or Dewey Haskins, who has the NFL ability of a toaster oven. The Duck. I mean,
or they draft the kid out of Pitt this year.
Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. What do you do with Dwayne Haskins? What do you do with freaking Mason Rudolph? You keep one of them as a backup?
Look, everybody's looking past the draft. There's not a lot of talent coming out of the draft, but that kid coming out of Pickett is probably the only NFL caliber guy that I could see walking onto a team and being okay.
Him or Malik Willis.
Malik Willis.
He's got a cannon.
So CJ says that Tomlin has never had a losing season in 15 years. Rudolph had a chance after chance, and he just isn't the guy.
Well, buckle your seatbelt because this will be the first one.
Yeah. I'm not a Mitch Trubisky guy.
Because I think, and this is just me, I'm just spitballing here. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, he was in a system that didn't allow him to use his talents and his skills. look, you're not picked. You're not picked.
Well, they were hamstrung by Khalil Mack's contract. First of all, they had nothing around him in Chicago.
And they still don't. But
But he's going somewhere where he has pieces around him. But what pieces does he have?
so Ryan Poles is the new GM, and I'm liking what he's doing. I'm liking the way he's shaking the system up. And then and I didn't want to like, and you can go back and listen to the show in previous episodes when they hired Eberfluss. I didn't want to like him. Then I started reading about him.
Right.
And then I'm starting to think, this is the right fucking guy. This is the right. What is that? Picture Cody.
Speaking of the double doink.
Double doink.
There you go. All right. Well, let me ask you
Najee
this.
Johnson, Fryermuth. He's got some tools. He's got some
Let me
things to
ask you
work
this.
with.
Would you rather have Mitch Trubisky or Taylor
What's the
Heineke?
Heineke.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd take Heineke
Coach,
over Trubisky.
would you rather have Heineke or Mitch Trubisky? Because look at where Heineke's now. What?
Where is he?
He's still in Washington.
He's in
But
Washington.
what is he? He's not a starter. He's a backup.
Right. You just
So
hired
if you
Carson Wentz.
if you would want Heineke, who's a backup, over Mitch Trubisky, what does that tell you about Mitch Trubisky?
Right. But Heineke was put in the best possible position to be successful given the time that he had to learn the position.
Right.
Where from day one, Trubisky was, you're our starter.
Yeah.
And then you're in a Matt Nagy system and you don't have any free reign. You don't have any autonomy to be what got you drafted when you were at Carolina. And Cliff knows, he's a Carolina fan. He knows, he sees all that shit. So, part of me says that you just got to give Trubisky a chance. I think he's more than capable. He's better than Mason Rudolph. He's better than the Dewey Haskins.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. We'll just see. And we'll leave it at that.
You've got to give him a fighting chance.
Right.
Yeah.
And what does that chance look like, though?
Yeah, CJ says Trubisky is better than the two that they got. Definitely.
Oh, he's an upgrade for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at that. That's good. Let's talk March Madness.
Oh,
Wow.
Here we go.
it's mad.
It is.
It is crazy. Is there anybody, and I wanted to look it up. Is there anybody, if you want to get on, is there anybody with a perfect bracket at this point?
No,
No,
None.
I think that was
How
done
many
pretty
millions?
St.
well,
Pete
right?
shot that.
How many millions? This is the first time in tournament history that a 15th seed, a double-digit 15th seed, has made the Elite Eight.
Yep.
The Elite Eight. So that pretty much has to bust somebody's end of the bracket.
Yeah, for sure.
The other half still has to be in place because of Kansas, right? And you got to have something that says
Villanova, Kansas, that side's probably still intact.
Okay,
And then the Duke piece is still intact.
right,
But Carolina and St. Pete,
right.
both
No,
are probably
no.
like,
I
I
work.
don't know.
I work with a guy, and he's a young guy. He's younger than CJ, and he is a huge. What is this? I picked the damn Jackrabbits to beat Providence, and it was ruined in the first day. It was ruined on the first day.
My bracket was fucked the first day, too.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
You know how many people's bracket were blown on the first day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Carolina guy, and when they took out the proverbial favorite, I'm like, all right, my bracket's fucked. But
Tanner.
good for me.
Tanner, the young guy that I work with, and I always bust his balls. I'm like, my son's older than you are, and he's been teaching for like 3 years. This is his fourth year or something like that. And
Okay,
and
Carolina's starting strong, by the way.
he's a huge Carolina guy, and I'd asked him what he thought about Carolina's chances, and he said they're getting hot at the right time. And that's what it takes to win.
Until they almost blew a 25-point lead.
Yeah, against who the hell was that? Was it Purdue?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Purdue. Number one, I think it was one or two Purdue. Yeah, Carolina's right now. Carolina is leading
7-0.
early in the first half, 9-0. They just score right there. The big TV.
Oh, it's ahead.
The 4Ks ahead. Yeah, my slow plasma is behind. So
The one I can see.
yeah, the one in the bar is behind. All right, so
But you have what's shaping up to be
a very, very cool.
It's Coach K's final year.
Yep.
Right.
So he lost his home closer to Carolina at Cameron.
Right.
with all of Duke royalty in attendance
Cameron Crazies.
and all of the Duke players that were there. Carolina said, F you, Coach K, get out.
Right.
So now you have Coach K set up to coach Duke in their Final Four appearance against either North Carolina, which, by the way, would be the first time they've ever met in NCAA tournament history.
I told you to save that for the
tournament.
show. We talked about that
That's
pre-show.
insane to think of.
Yeah.
Over the entire history of
What
Carolina Duke.
Coach K's been there for, 35 years?
Yeah.
He's 75 years old. To think about basketball royalty, college basketball royalty, he has to sit somewhere near the top.
Yeah, it's him.
Behind John Wooden.
John Wooden, Bobby Knight, Dean Smith, like all those guys. It's Coach K. Like as much as I loathe Duke as a Carolina fan, I have to respect him just like Tom Brady. I have to respect what he's done.
Right.
He's built his program the right way.
Yep.
He's carried himself very well. He does camps for youth all summer. But regardless, whatever storyline this plays out to
CJ goes,
be,
fuck Coach K.
Yeah, I agree with you, CJ.
This is rigged for him to go out on a high. Is what he said.
No, I think it's rigged for him to get fucked in the end because either he's going to play Carolina
or he's going to draw down on Kansas or Villanova,
or he's going to get the Cinderella story of St. Pete if St. Pete gets by Carolina in the Final
gracious.
Four. Could you imagine that story?
Yeah, the media has been hyping Coach K and St. Pete. Everybody else is taking freaking the redheaded stepchild approach, and I that usually doesn't end well. Like they've been, who was it before? It was a Loyola
Marymount.
No. Well, that's Hank Gathers and but no, it was it Loyola where they had the sister, the nun, the 90-year-old nun,
courtside every game.
And then they're gonna win, and she's there, it's Sister Ruth or whatever, and then it says also Gonzaga just lost their chance to win it all. It'll be a long time for them to get another chance. It could be. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, the Zags
I think so.
The Zags are.
CJ, why is your username so goofy like that? Why does it look like that? It says AEUTFGR. Unless this is we got another person in the room that's not talking. But keep it up. I don't care. Yeah. So
either way, it's setting up to be a great Final Four.
I think so. I think Roy Williams gone, replaced by a former player
who's done reasonably well.
Given his talent pool, they did not play early. Listening to Kenny Smith talk last night, I was watching. Don't get me. Kathy and I went out to dinner, and we were sitting in a bar, and I was listening to Kenny Williams talk. And Kenny Williams is like, you're talking about a team that was getting manhandled early in the season, and they were winning ugly, and then in the close games they were getting beat, and then here they are into Podbean generated his username. All right, so part of me just says in order to win a tournament like this, in order to win, period. It doesn't matter what sport it is.
What have you done for me lately?
A la freaking Atlanta Braves last year. They got hot at the right time. They made the playoffs. They made their run, and they end up winning the World Series. 2 years ago, you bring in Tom Brady. You took a team that was mid-level with what's his name? Freaking
Magic.
No, it was
Jameis Winston.
No, Jameis Winston, 30 for 30, and they were mired in the mid-pack. They just couldn't get there, and then all of a sudden, with the same talent, Tom Brady comes in, they win a Super Bowl.
Right.
This past year, you have a team like the Rams who bring in a new quarterback. They assemble a team around them, and down the stretch, they were virtually invincible. You just couldn't.
If Allen Iverson didn't have it trademarked, his name should be the answer.
Right.
Because he was the answer, and
he was
with the Rams.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to take a pause here. And we're going to, you guys are going to continue on with Final Four. I'm going to get the beers ready, and we're going to taste 3 beers, and then we're going to get out of here for today. We're already an hour and 15 minutes. We will be going an hour and a half on a live show, which is not normally what we do, but that's what we're going to do. So you guys can bring it up. CJ,
Hey, I could keep going.
enjoy the beers.
I'm
Yeah,
having a
keep
great
going.
day.
Keep going. I'm going to go get the beers ready.
As long as the game is on, I'm good. Carolina's up, 9-3 right now. So I'm good. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm intrigued by what's shaping up for the Final Four with Coach K's Cinderella-like exit story. What does this look like for him leaving? And is this poised to be a makeup for his final game at Cameron, getting beat by the nemesis of Carolina with a new head coach, not Roy, not Dean Smith, and now he gets a chance at redemption, possibly at them. And if not against Carolina, it's against the best Cinderella story, arguably, in NCAA tournament history.
Right.
St. Pete, as a 15 seed from out of nowhere, has played really well. They've played disciplined, and they're playing with heart.
I mean, you can see it right now. It was just what, 7? It was 9-0 just a few seconds ago. It feels like, and now it's 9-5. I mean, there's. I mean, it's early in the game, but they're slowly climbing their way back in. Now, let me ask you this: as a Carolina fan, how would you like to see it play out for Coach K?
I want Duke Carolina in the Final Four.
Right.
And as a Carolina fan, I want to see Carolina take him out.
There you go.
Like, there's no better feeling to me as a Carolina fan. Like, I was on cloud nine for at least a week when Carolina went into Cameron and beat Duke for their last home season. Like, Coach K is at home. All this Duke royalty is sitting around.
Right.
And Carolina is saying, 2 middle fingers, Coach
There
K.
you go.
See you later, bud.
And see, to me, like, I'm not that big of a basketball fan, but the way I look at it as an LSU fan, I would love it when Nick Saban's time comes if LSU marched in and rained hell down on Alabama. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're speaking my language, because Saban for about 15 minutes was a Dolphins coach.
Oh, absolutely.
And screwed our entire future.
Yeah, right.
So Saban and I have no love lost either. So I respect Coach K, but I would love nothing more than to see Carolina throw up 2 middle fingers to him for a second time in a month.
Right.
3 weeks ago today was when they beat him at home and said, farewell tour, farewell.
There you go.
Go away. Don't walk away mad, just walk away.
Right.
All right, I'm back.
Look at Hubie Davis.
Yeah.
Going ham.
There, I've been a Carolina fan. I've been a Duke fan. I've been a college basketball fan from a distance. And as much as I'd like to see Coach K win it, another part of me says, I would love to see a team like St. Pete's freaking find a way. I would love to see freaking Carolina shut it down.
Yeah, Carolina, I'd like to see them get and play against Villanova on the other side and have some redemption.
And you think about Jay Wright at Villanova. That dude's been there for freaking, 25 years?
And not to mention Jay Wright right now, that Villanova program, you look at the other programs that are still there, they have NBA talent on their team. You tell me which guys he has that are first-round draft picks in the NBA in Villanova. Maybe one that could walk into an NBA program right now and compete? No, he's doing it with, lesser-known guys.
Yeah.
So good on him. However, he does have – if he goes against another small, fast team, a la Carolina, who is built on run and gun from the Roy Williams days and the Dean Smith days – that smaller, faster, gritty team, they're going to have trouble. So I think they ended up getting
my knuckleheads.
I think they ended up getting Villanova got the better end of the deal because they would rather play Kansas versus Miami.
You think?
Yeah, for sure. Even though Kansas is the higher seed, Kansas is a bigger team. Miami is small. That Miami is a carbon copy of Villanova. And they could shut them down quickly. It would have been a low-scoring game, but they're both small and quick. But I think this setup now, it's going to be Villanova versus
Carolina.
I would love it. I would love it.
That would be a really nice Final Four. That's going to freaking set Vegas on its fucking the money going, the money line. Yeah.
I would either lose a lot or make a lot of money.
Okay.
Because I'm cashing in some Bitcoin to fucking bid on that.
Put your feelings away. St. Pete gets to the finals.
I'm riding it. I'm riding it.
They were 1,000 to 1
I'm riding it.
1,000 to 1. Now they're down to like 100 to 1. Even so, $1,000.
I'm riding it.
You can't not do it, right?
How could
like
you-
if you find a way to make it that far, you can't just say, "All right, train's gonna end here."
Yeah.
Like, you either got to be all in or all out.
I'm
Yeah.
selling off some Bitcoin.
Right?
I'm selling off some Bitcoin, and I'm doubling down, and it's over.
Oh, man. All right, here we go. Let's get to these beers, and then we'll get out of here. All right, so this is Smart Mouth Brewing Company, and Smart Mouth is out of Norfolk, Virginia. So I went down to, Cliff calls it his beer guy. I call it the beer store. If you go downtown in Winchester, Virginia, there's a little food market where there's a
Little Sitco gas station.
yeah, it's a little tiny gas station called the Near Food Mart. And it's off of Jubal Early in Pleasant Valley. It sits on the corner right across from Safford Ford or
From the
whatever.
Ford dealership,
From the
yeah.
Ford dealership right there. That guy has a selection of beer in a tiny store that most people would freaking that would just drop your jaw.
And if he doesn't have it, you tell him what you want, and he'll get it.
And he'll find a way to get it. So I turned Josh on to Utica Club, the beer, the oldest beer since Prohibition, and it's a wonderful beer. But anyway, so this is what I was talking to him. His name's Raj. If you get a chance, get down to see Raj. He's got a hell of a freaking selection of beer down there. This is Smart Mouth Brewing Company. It's made in Norfolk, Virginia. This beer is it's called Liquid Culture. It's a barrel aged imperial smoked chocolate porter. So it is a very dark beer. It's not especially potent. It is about 7.5% alcohol by volume. If you wanted to measure that, a traditional Bud Light, Miller Lite's probably about 4.5,
Yeah.
maybe 5, depending on maybe if you had a platinum or whatever like that. So this isn't too far off of that. I'll pour my glass. If you want to, I'll pass the can around. Look at that dark goodness right there. And we'll take this around, take it around. It has a wonderful smell to it. It's very dark. There is no light seeping through that. It has a wonderful smell to it.
It's a big, heavy porter.
Yeah, it is a very.
Oof.
And it's barrel aged. Oh, yeah. I'm having a couple of those. It comes with a very malty finish to it. Are you going to drink a bunch of these? Probably not. No,
You couldn't.
There's just no way. You would be bogged down after a while.
This would be great to sip and watch Carolina beat the shit out of Duke with.
Yeah, but there's I love the label on it, the little owl on the front sitting there.
With a cigar.
Smart Mouth Brewing.
You
First
can definitely
off,
get away by saying you're drinking Coca-Cola with how dark this is. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, you hold it up to the light there, and you're not seeing through it. It's very dark, but that's what you're getting in a porter.
You're borderline stout with this.
Yeah, but I've had stouts that are even harder hitter than this, but it's very malty, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that malty finish. There isn't in some malty finishes you get a little bit of a bitter aftertaste, and I'm not getting that with this at all. I was trying to finish mine. Yeah.
I'd drink it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I would drink that again. I'd
get it in a mixer. I don't know that I'd buy a 4-pack or a 6-pack of that, but
I did today.
Yeah, I'd buy it in a mix pack to have.
I got the 4-pack. I think I spent $16 on it. It's $4 a beer. Nothing tells me that I wouldn't try this beer again, or if it was being served at somebody's house and goes, "Hey, I got these porters, and would you like one?" I would go, "Oh yeah, it's Smart Mouth. I can enjoy that beer." Nothing over the top bad about this one. The thing for me is how a beer finishes. You know what I mean? If you're just sitting at home and you're drinking Miller Lights or you're drinking Bud Lights, there's no aftertaste of any of that stuff.
You're shotgunning those.
You're just freaking hammering those things down left and right. Where this one, but I'll tell you this, you're not drinking this beer that's not cold. If it's not cold, this beer is not for you.
And if you had a cigar in hand,
It might be. It might be. It
Yes,
might be
sir.
one of those spring evenings where it's about 55 outside and you got a fire going in the backyard.
And a nice Macanudo.
And you got a nice cigar and you're enjoying a cold beer. As long as they're cold, I think you'd be happy with that beer.
I'll tell you what, I normally don't really like dark beers. Like,
porter stouts.
yeah, I mean, Snow Peak. I mean, I'm not really a fan of that kind of stuff, but this is pretty good. I would drink another one.
Well, this is from this is a regular marketed beer. This is Sam Adams Wicked Double IPA.
And the reason that I picked that one up today was Sam Adams and Dogfish. Dogfish is my personal favorite brewery of all times.
Dogfish makes some really, really powerful freaking 11, 12.
18.
Yeah. I got a couple of Dogfishes upstairs that'll just you just have to have
If you
two
ever
beers.
see that exclamation point lime green cap, be careful.
Yeah, because they will put you to bed in a hurry.
We call it the showstopper. This
Yeah.
one is Dogfish and Sam Adams merged. Sam Calagione from Dogfish and Koch from Sam Adams merged like 3 years ago, and it was just so that Dogfish could get more distribution. So now Sam Adams is stepping in, and this is the first time I've seen this. This is a big old wicked double IPA.
So this is Sam Adams. This is, for lack of a better word, this is made from the Boston Beer Company.
Yeah.
This is Sam Adams at its best, and this is a double IPA. They call it the Juicy. It's going to be very hoppy, which is going to have a bit of a bitter taste to it.
You're going to feel like chewing it.
It doesn't show what the IBUs are. I'm looking on. Oh, it only has 30 IBUs.
Yeah, it's a low
And
IBU.
then IBUs are your bitter units, the international bitter units, and the higher the number, and 30 is not very high.
Yeah, it's very low.
You get a 75, and that's a grapefruit. That's a very bitter beer tasting. You can smell right away.
8.3%.
It's hoppy. It's got that traditional hoppy smell to it. Oh yeah, that Voodoo Ranger. That's 9.5%. But it'll probably have a little bit of a juice to it. It smells good.
Oh, it's very citrusy.
But that finishes well.
Oh,
It tails off. It almost has like the citrusy, almost like a little bit of a pineapple.
Yeah.
Pineapple-y.
Yeah.
Not grapefruit, more of a pineapple-y. But you're right, the bitters are way down on this.
this is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mango, really.
Yeah, it is. It's very refreshing.
It does say juicy. It does say something fruity.
It's hazy, juicy, double New England IPA style.
So, I am not by any stretch of the imagination, I am not an IPA guy, but that is not a bad beer.
I like an IPA. That's my wheelhouse.
This is not sitting at home watching March Madness like we're watching right now. Carolina drubbing St. Pete's freaking 21-9 with almost halfway through the first half. There's no aftertaste, and usually when I drink IPAs, there's an aftertaste. There's some sort of bite, that hoppy finish that I'm not a big fan of.
It's the citrus that cuts it.
And I think it's a double IPA, and double IPAs with lower IBUs are things that I don't mind.
It's a hazy.
I could definitely see myself standing on the beach playing bocce ball or cornhole drinking this.
I was going to say golf course. I could drink this on a golf course all day, and I would not finish the round.
You know what? You said mango?
That's what I think. I mean, pineapple too. But
maybe
it smells like pineapple, but to me, it tastes more like mango.
Maybe.
It just has bold and aromatic fruit notes.
Yeah.
So you're going to hit all different ones. And that's what I've always loved about Sam Calagione with Dogfish. You have all different kinds of shit. Like he did one with chicha in it. And if
What
you ever
is chicha?
Chicha, you have people that literally I went to Milton, Delaware and toured the brewery, and there were people that would sit with 5-gallon buckets and chew this root. It's called chicha root. They would chew it and spit it into a bucket, and they use that to brew the beer with.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not drinking chicha.
I'm just telling you, it's crazy. Like he does some crazy shit, and I was against him merging and like partnering with Sam Adams, but just to get the brand out there, I've been a Dogfish guy for over a decade. and they have some big beers. Like the Dogfish 120-minute IPA is 18% beer, and that is we
I
call
have
it the
that upstairs.
showstopper.
I have that
We
upstairs,
call it the
and I'm
showstopper.
afraid to open it. It's been sitting on my shelf. One of Patrick's friends, my son Patrick, one of his friends brought it, and they drank a couple of them, and they were like, "Come on, coach, you got to try some of this." And I was like, No, I'll save it." And I looked at the freaking alcohol by volume, and I'm like, "No, I don't need the freaking stuff where my tongue doesn't work and my freaking my vision's already bad. I don't need it to go exponentially worse, and then my balance goes off as I can't walk." But yeah, but Dogfish makes some. I call them power beers. They'll
Dogfish and
just
Stone are the two guys that when you see them, you're like you're getting a big beer.
Yeah, they're going to knock you on your ass. All right, so I went once again. I was talking to Raj, and this is no shit. This morning I went into Raj's shop. We Kathy and I were running errands. Went to the grocery store. Did a bunch of errands, and I stopped in and I saw Raj, and I go, "Raj, I need a couple of beers." And he's like, "Well, what are you looking for?" And I go, "Well, I like pilsners, I like lagers, I like stouts, I like porters and stuff like that." And he goes, "Well, here's one. This is from Kansas City, and it's called Rye on Rye." And so this is a rye, a whiskey that's been. This beer has been barrel aged in a rye barrel. So this is an ale, um, and part of me says that it's in this dark bottle to keep it from aging even farther.
That'll age well.
Yeah,
You could leave that on a shelf for
forever,
forever.
and it will taste as good as the last time you had it. So um, I'm a big rye fan. I love rye whiskeys. Cliff and I, we went over to this place right here in little old Middletown, and they have a basically they converted one of our favorite places that we used to go to, was a little Irish pub called Nana's Irish Pub, and the food was phenomenal there, and the drinks and the people were great. Well, COVID kicked their ass, and they closed their doors and they shuttered. And then along came a new company, and they took over the same little place, only it became a bourbon and wine place, and you can go in there and you can taste how many different bourbons.
Oh God, it's insane how many bourbons they have.
You have a list. It's like 6 pages long of all the
Yeah.
bourbons, and you can get them in
Front and
half ounce.
back,
You can get them in half ounce pours. You can get
full ounce pours.
full ounce pours.
And you can get flights.
You can get flights of them. Would I say that they're kind of expensive? Depending on what you want, they can be, because some of the upper tier bourbons and ryes can
I think
freaking
the Pappy was $130 a pour.
yeah. So Pappy Van Winkle, they have it.
Versus you could buy the entire bottle of that $130 pour for $80.
Yeah. So
But we just had the lottery.
it's called Boulevard Brewing. Boulevard Brewing out of Kansas City.
12.2.
This is a smoker, man.
Double
this
digit.
one's up there. This one's double digit ABV. And it has a wonderful smell already. I can smell
got a
the
great
bourbon.
color.
It does. If you hold it up, it has a cloudy bourbon
It's a
look
sherry, like sherry bourbon.
to it. Yeah. Has a wonderful smell to it. Wow. Oh my.
That's trouble.
That
trouble.
is trouble. And the best part is how it finishes. You can taste the rye barrel at the end. No aftertaste.
I'm not a rye
None.
whiskey guy, but I'm telling you, this is trouble. You mix bourbon flavor,
And this is
with
the rye
beer.
one, and I got a bourbon barrel one for next show.
I better be invited to the next show then.
Yes, we have a standing order for both of you to come back every show we have. Next week we're coming back. CJ's coming back. He said he would come back because he wasn't feeling very good, and that he owed it to the show to come back and do it again. And we'll do another live show next week. We'll catch up on basketball, where we are with these final contracts with like
And the free agents that are still floating around right now, Honey Badger. And
yeah. What do you think of that one?
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I'll tell you
Jesus.
what. Well, Josh, you're not into these guys.
I don't know. Of the three, this is probably number two. I'd say the first one's last. What was the first one?
The first one
first
is
one
the
was,
smart mouth. That's the dark
Smartmouth.
one. That's the porter.
Yeah, so that one's probably
Last.
third out of the three.
Okay. Yeah, because you
This
said
one-
you
this
weren't a
one's
dark one.
probably two, and then the
The IPA.
dogfish mashup with Samuel Adams
Seb.
was number one.
This one, and I'm not sure it's. I'm thinking, and it's just me. If this were ice cold, you'd have a whole different sensation for it if it were ice cold. And I got them cold, but they've only been sitting in 38 degrees. And some people like it at 35. And when you get a 35-degree beer, it's super cold, and it just.
And it's also in the same glass that you've had the other two.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's mixing
yeah,
with everything else.
I'm
right?
sorry. I apologize for having the weakness of my show, not having 6 glasses for 3
Listen,
beer.
I'm not hating
9
it.
glasses.
I'm not hating it.
No.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying my rankings.
This would probably be 2 for me.
That's about as smooth as it gets.
This IPA is definitely number 1.
I didn't want to like the IPA. I didn't want to like
an
it.
IPA guy.
I didn't want to like it, but I like it.
But I'm not a porter and a stout guy, but I like all of these.
Yeah.
So you ranked yours the same as me then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Same
think
1,
2, 3.
2,
Yeah.
3.
okay. I like it. I probably wouldn't be far off with that. I might switch one, but other than that, I'm this
CJ,
rye,
you missed out.
this rye on rye. Yeah, I have 3 more bottles of rye on rye. I'll probably enjoy
12-2.
that. Yeah. See, those are the ones that sneak up on you because
Right.
it's, you know.
Those are the ones that are going to make you later on Monday.
No, I don't go late. I'm never late to school. Never late. No one will ever accuse me of being late for school, ever. But I liked it. The Sam Adams, refreshingly better than I thought. And you know I'm not an IPA guy. And
It's a
I'm
summer
not.
drink.
I'm just not.
It's
Yeah,
a summer drink.
I think so. I think it's one of those things where, like you said, I'm standing on a beach and
That's
I'm
right.
freaking I'm
Throwing
playing-
cornhole bags in one hand and holding one in the other, right?
and I'm freaking, hey babe, my tan is freaking, I'm getting a little burny.
There
and
you go.
Here comes Joni and she's smearing a
Oh,
little
here
bit
we
on it.
go.
What?
Shout out.
What?
Shout out
Joni?
to Joni.
Yeah.
Rubbing me down with some lotion.
Dude, I'm telling you what. In the world of football, Cliffy, his fiance, in the world of football, you'll understand this. You talk about outkicking your coverage. He outkicked the coverage. Dude,
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you.
Absolutely.
I'm not kidding you.
absolutely.
I did
How
too.
he landed that chick, I don't know.
Well, don't forget, once upon a time, I weighed 100 pounds less than I do.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Nothing.
Had the
She,
lines made,
you had,
but you're
you
right.
had to, you
You're
had
right.
to have
I'm
something
still
that she
way out of
enjoyed,
my
and that's
league.
that's
Still
badass.
way out of my league.
When it comes to
Listen,
being
as
smart,
a big guy,
yeah.
I constantly outkick my coverage. It's just what we do.
There you go.
Personality, man.
So my wife is just when I think about her and why I married her, she's smarter than I am. Period. And I dig brains. Brains are me. And Joni is your brain, isn't she?
Oh, absolutely.
I was gonna
Come on
say,
now, you know me.
Dude,
Absolutely.
She's all about the brains.
Absolutely.
Sidebar 34-13.
Wow, North Carolina, freaking
Carolina
putting
Just
it on,
putting it on.
putting it on St.
But
Pete's.
it could be. I mean, they were up by 25 earlier in the tournament and blew
Yeah.
it.
You never know.
Yeah,
Crazy
and had to
things,
win
right?
in overtime. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go.
All
Fuck
right,
you,
so we're
Coach
going to
K.
get out of here. Thank you for coming in here. We're an hour and a half long,
How
but
about
it doesn't
that?
matter. We had a great show. Cliffy, thanks for coming in. Coach Breeden,
Thanks for
that was
having me,
awesome.
man.
We'll be back next week. I guarantee you. CJ's going to come here, or I'm going to drive to Manassas and whip his ass for not coming back to the show. He needs to sit in this seat. I need to sit where you're sitting, and we need to have a 4-table discussion revolving around. Because if I'm not mistaken, we are going to be getting close to the opening day
Yeah.
of Major League Baseball. We will have by
We'll be
this time.
5 days away.
There will be a grounding of NFL free agency at that point, and our Final Four will be locked in, and we'll be throwing around the ideas about who's going to win what.
Carolina.
Because we will be down to the finals by next weekend, by Sunday, right?
We'll know if Coach K's prophecy lives on.
Yeah, we will know by that point. So, without further notice, we will get out of here. Thank you for coming, and we enjoyed our time. So, love you guys. Take it easy. Thanks for calling in, CJ. Bye now.